Hey guys, here we go into a final video film study on Robert Easter Jr. versus Mikey Garcia. And what we're going to talk about is kind of one of the things that I felt like I learned from watching their fights. And granted, this is not like all-encompassing, but this is how I think that the fight is going to go, the kind of flow of the fight, and then what it's going to be based on, and then what I think the outcome is going to be. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first clip we're going to look at is Robert Easter Jr. Moving forward against his opponent, beginning of round one, right? And what does he do immediately? Jab to the body, right? And we get to see his opponent tries to counter him right there with that hook, right? But he's the one pressing forward. He's already thrown a punch within the first few seconds, and then he notices that his opponent is counterpunching. And then he shoots a jab here. And now watch his left hand, right? He kind of swings it like he's about to hook again, right? Like he's looking to set up jab and then hook, weight transfer, and setting his opponent up because he thinks, oh, he's trying to counter my jab, right? Now in the very next sequence, he comes forward and he shoots the jab, and then he immediately sets up with the hook and then throws a right hand as well, showing that not only is he paying attention to what his opponent is doing, but he's also aggressive. He's aggressively looking for opportunities to land punches and to hurt his opponents. So we know he's going to be coming forward against Mikey Garcia. What we want to look at next is how Mikey Garcia starts the round out, and then we're going to kind of talk about how that's going to create a flow for the fight. But as you can see, Mikey Garcia coming out with a very active guard, feinting, probing, changing levels, getting his blocks out. And look at how he has his block out here for this jab right away. And part of that is because he knows that his opponent steps with his punches. Now this is going to be very important for later. But notice how he has this really active guard. He's not punching, he's probing, right? And what he's doing is he's looking to get Lipinets to let go of his feints, to stop feinting. He's looking to make it look like he's doing enough, feinting shots, probing with his right hand, slipping, moving off the line, and getting, as you can see right here, getting Lipinets to react to what he's doing so that he can create space and continue to traverse the rest of the ring. Now, the reason this is important is because Robert Easter doesn't like to set his punches up. He doesn't do a lot of feinting. He doesn't do a lot of probing. He already fights, as you can see, out of a very basic layer of offense. He just steps with his jab and makes it really easy to time. Even when he looks to set up counters, he's still committing to this jab when he steps forward and putting himself out of position so he can try to land counters to his opponent's counters. And then again, even in the next scene, when he sets another trap for his opponent, in order to start this trap, he has to completely commit to his jab while stepping in order to set his punches up. The reason that that's important is because that's exactly what Mikey's looking to do. He's looking to use these feints, these probes, these head movements to break his opponent's layers down so that they're going to commit to attacks without setting them up properly. And that's going to allow him to counter. And we're going to kind of get into right away the next sequence of clips, which are Mikey Garcia's offense. Now, as soon as it transfers, there we go. Now, Mikey Garcia doesn't really have an offense per se. He's a quote-unquote aggressive counterpuncher. I don't agree with that term, but what he's looking to do is he's looking to make you make a mistake through pressure by getting you out of position, because defensive positioning is so much less trained in boxing, and an understanding of defensive responsibility and how to move off the line properly and how to control your opponent, that this is how he finds success in a lot of his fights, simply by forcing his opponents to make mistakes. Now, the mistake that Lipinets has here is that he always has to step with his offense, and as we saw with Robert Easter Jr., he has a very similar style. But this is what the entire fight is going to be based on, is Mikey Garcia's right hand. As you see, Lipinets coming forward again on that stepping. As soon as he leans all his weight onto his front leg, Mikey Garcia knows nothing's coming back, and boom, starts setting up his right hand. And Mikey Garcia, I don't want to call him fast. I don't think he's fast, but he's very explosive. He's very explosive. I think Manny Pacquiao is fast, and the way that they use speed is just different to the way that he can be so explosive and precise with his movement that he gets the punch there. It's such a practice punch that it just seems really quick and really explosive. But as we can see, timing Lipinets coming forward, boom, and as we'll take a look in a minute. Again, right hands, and then you can see here, after he throws that right hand, Lipinets starts stepping forward, shooting a jab, and he slips it and lands his own counter jab there. And I think that that's going to be the basis for the whole fight. I think that everything that Mikey Garcia does and does well in this fight is going to be hinged off of his right hand. He might surprise us because Robert Easter Jr. is so tall that he might want to go to the body a little more. But even then, I expect it to be more with the right hand. Probably some left hooks to the body just because Robert Easter is so tall. But I think that Robert Easter is going to be the one that starts the fight a little bit behind. Now, I'm not saying that he can't make adjustments or that in his last few fights maybe he has kind of fixed a little bit of the problems with his stance and with his ability to transfer his weight. But and as well as the fact that part of the reason why he has to move forward the way he does and step with his punches, if you notice him shuffling right here, it's because he stands so sideways, right? He shuffles forward rather than walking because his hips aren't facing his opponent. They're basically facing the crowd right now. But anyway, as we can see, Robert Easter Jr., when he sets up his right hand, and that's what he's doing here, he's using the jab to set up his right hand. He steps with his jab first and then throws a right hand. Then when he jabs to the body, as we see here, he jabs to the body, he steps with his jab. He throws a lead left hook, he steps with it. Even every single way that Robert Easter Jr. attacks is off of that same style, that stepping forward style, where he has to move into range because of the sideways stance. And I think that's exactly what's going to play into Mikey Garcia's timing and the speed of his right hand, and just how sharp and precise he is with that weapon. And as we see here, stepping, and you can see here, he's very open for that counter. His opponent doesn't land it. He goes with the catch and counter style rather than a straight counter style. But as we can see in this video, and if you watch the Lipinets fight, Mikey Garcia is much more capable than Luis Cruz. I believe that's what his name was. But moving on. Again, even when he sets his traps right here, right? And this is one of the other opportunities I think that Robert Easter Jr. has to beat Mikey Garcia, or at least even it out on the scorecards, so that he doesn't fall so far behind. Is setting up trap-based offense. As you see, he steps forward with his jab, and all of this in the first round, noticing that his opponent's looking for the catch and counter style, and then pulling back and catching him with that left hook. If he can use some feints or some probes just a little bit better, because as we saw, Mikey Garcia does respond to the feints. Let's see if we can find that scene. He does respond to the feints that his opponents give him, and he can be baited out of position. As you can see here, even though Lipinets doesn't set a trap off this feint, he doesn't set a trap off of it, he does get Mikey Garcia to go first and expose not only his tactic, but expose his chin as well. As we see how wide he gets with this shot, right? He's also open for that counter right hand. As you see, he's stepping with his punches as well. And that's the same flaw that Robert Easter has. So Robert Easter may be able to set traps, get Mikey Garcia to come to him, and counter him with shots very similar to what he catches Mr. Cruz with. Boom. And then as you can see, oh yes, even when he's this close to his opponent, and this is why I think it's so important that we highlight the fact that he steps with his offense. He's in range right here to land his right hand, but he even still has to step, and look at how bent his elbow is still when he steps with his jab. Look at how, when it finally hits him, look at how much more range he has on his shot. Even when he's that close, he still steps with his punches. And that's why I think it's going to play such a huge factor in the fight. Now, the other part that I don't like about Robert Easter, and why I think he's just a little bit behind in this fight, is because his defensive style is the same, also puts him in danger to getting hit with the right hand as well. As you can see, his opponent opens up with the jab, and he immediately brings his hands down, boom, and takes and moves straight back in a straight line. As you see, his opponent feints him, and what does he do? He jumps back in a straight line, right? Jumps straight back, and this type of defense, again, is going to be very susceptible to the right hand, as his hips are straight up, and he's not able to really transition his weight when all his weight is on his back right leg. He's not going to be able to move his weight from his left leg, or his hips rather, to his right leg, because his weight is already on his right side, but his hips are not. So he's not going to have any power to transfer and to move away from that right hand if Mikey Garcia in situations like this, feints him and then comes forward with the jab over the top and catches him with a shot. Now, all of this, this entire fight, I believe, is going to be based, like I said, on Mikey Garcia's right hand. If Robert Easter Jr. can take the punch, if Robert Easter Jr. can make him miss and counter him, or if Robert Easter can set traps. And if he can do either of those things, he has a very good shot at beating Mikey Garcia, because of the fact that Mikey Garcia gets a lot of hype, but he's an overhyped fighter. I will never miss a Mikey Garcia fight. I love watching him. I've been wanting to visit him at RGBA in Riverside, since it's so close to me. And even actually try to spar him, see if I could get in the ring with him. I think it'd be pretty cool. Even though, like, you know, I know if he went hard, he would smash me. I know, you guys. I know. But I'm a big fan of Mikey Garcia. I just think that he's a little overhyped, and he doesn't understand enough about setting his punches up. I think that if Robert Easter can make some adjustments and get Mikey Garcia to come to him, use feints, use probes, and set traps for that right hand that he knows is going to come, he can maybe get Mikey Garcia behind enough on the cards that he can get him, he can get a win in the fight. Because Mikey Garcia doesn't really have an offense. He doesn't know how to intelligently put pressure on his opponents. And if he fought a fighter like Erislandy Lara or Guillermo Rigondeaux, they would have a great time with him, because he doesn't know how to set his punches up super well. So those are my thoughts on the fight. It's going to be based completely around whether or not Mikey Garcia can land his right hand, / whether or not Robert Easter can make adjustments and work around it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff. Thanks, guys.